So the next question is, machine learning and the rest of emerging technologies will obviously could help to solve several problems such as flood prediction, etc. At the other hand, sometimes we have challenges with policies and regulations. For example, data privacy policies. In your opinion, how to tackle these policies or regulation challenges?
Yeah, well, that's a big question. There are many different regulatory and policy questions that come up. For example, the lip reading and others that I noted. I think just to focus on data, since that was the one in the question, I think we all recognize that data is incredibly important, right? Again, if we have no data, there's nothing to learn from, so there's no way to help make better predictions. There's a lot of different things that we've seen. First of all, looking at opportunities in sharing data. So there's a lot of different data out there that is not necessarily personal data that can be shared, maybe image data sets, things like language, translation, speech models. A lot of these opportunities looking for ways that organizations can open up their own data. I mentioned Google has shared our own, looking for different government, for example, sources of open data and others to share what's out there. A second potential solution, some of the things that we've been looking at is looking at organizations that can actually create benchmark data sets. So what are some of the data that maybe everybody will need? Maybe it is transportation data or language data or others. Can some organizations be funded maybe in a public-private partnership or other to create these data sets so everybody can use them and they've been vetted and have wonderful data sources and can be used in a beneficial way. I think there's other technical solutions as well, including protecting data, whether through encryption, through federated learning methods or others, so that personal data is never necessarily shared, but the learning and the insights from these data are shared. And that's the important piece that everybody can access and improve from. So a lot of different opportunities there. I know that there's all different policy challenges that are faced in different countries and regions. But I'll just leave with this last point. I think data sharing is very important. Cross-border data flows is incredibly important in order to be able to really have everybody benefit the most from what we all are learning. We've got to be able to share and really process and handle data across different borders. For example, like with flood forecasting, right? The rivers don't necessarily know borders. And these are pieces of information that all of us can learn and benefit from.
Thank you. So before I read another question from the audience, I have my own question. So currently there are over 400,000 of COVID cases in Indonesia and also millions of cases in the United States. Can you share, if any, examples of successful use cases of AI in healthcare, especially in relation with the current COVID condition?
Definitely. So AI in healthcare is a very big opportunity. I think we've seen many, many different cases, both from Google and others, in promising uses. So I shared on one slide, just to share an example, the use of AI to identify cancer in patients, right? So to look at a biopsy sample and to say, actually, hey, this is potentially cancer in a patient. I think we know right now a lot of physicians are out there. Physicians also have a lot of work, and a lot of people actually don't have access to physicians all around the world. So this is a place where we've seen some promise in image recognition, specifically for medical images. I mean, there's many others. I think, Sri, to go to your specific question in the ongoing pandemic, the reason that we're not in person right now, actually, and we're just online, right? I think there are many opportunities for AI to help with COVID. I'll name just a few. First of all, in the data space, right? We from Google have released a lot of the search trends symptoms that we've seen. So people searching for COVID, cough, fever, all of the different associated trends, and releasing that data set so that people can actually identify and do research and identify, are there opportunities here? Can we better learn about the disease? Mobility reports to better understand how people are moving around, COVID-19 public data sets. So there's a lot in the data space. There's also a lot in models. So COVID-19 forecasting models, for example, forecasting what some of the data of the trajectory of the disease will look like. We've been working on a model right now on vaccine testing. What are the best sites to test vaccines so that the trials can move more quickly? COVID-19 Research Explorer, so models to better understand and parse all of the research papers that are coming out, protein folding predictions. So there's a lot of models out there. I would say, like a lot of the COVID research, it's very early days. So there's no, perfect cure or solution right now, but we've seen a lot of different tools being used to help address the crisis.
Very beneficial and interesting. If we can see that impact, that will be very helpful for mankind. So the next question from the audience, I found an article about bias on AI machine learning in Amazon's recruiting process on 2018. This obviously will question the trustworthiness of AI. In your point of view, what will you suggest to minimize the risk of bias in AI?
Yeah, so this is an important one. I noted the Google AI principles that we had published in 2018. If you look at them, actually, the first one I talked about was socially beneficial. The second one was actually not to propagate unfair bias. So bias is definitely something that we've been looking at and studying over the last many years at Google. There's a couple of different solutions that we've seen. The first is in data, right? Models and computer vision and machine learning systems are learning from data. So what can we be doing as people, as different organizations, to build more representative data sets? To give one example, I think that we saw from the images that we had, a lot of the images of weddings, for example, were women in white dresses. And we know that's not necessarily the wedding dress all around the world, but that was the data that we had. So it's not a completely representative data set. So we've been doing a lot of work, and I know others have as well, to push data sets to actually be more representative so that they don't necessarily include unfair biases. They don't propagate some of these challenges. So data is one piece. A second is in the models. Even as hard as you work on data, you're never going to have a perfect data set, right? We know that the world, in fact, is biased itself, right? And this is something that we found in Google Translate. So Google Translate learns from data all around the web. And one of the things that it learned actually was that doctors were men and nurses were women. And this was just from the data that was out there. So this became a problem actually when we were translating from some languages like Turkish that are gender neutral. So if somebody translated from Turkish to English and the phrase in Turkish was "o bir doktor," like they are a doctor, it would always translate in English to "he is a doctor," because the Google Translate model had learned from all of this data that doctors should be he. And so this was something that we actually went in and made adjustments to the model itself. We said, okay, we know the data will never be perfect, but can we put constraints on the model? And in fact, now if you type in "o bir doktor" in Turkish onto Google Translate, you get two options now. He is a doctor and she is a doctor. And then it enables the user to select which one makes the most sense for their situation. So the models are another important piece. And then the last one that I'll touch on here is testing. Testing is so important. A lot of testing needs to happen both before any product is launched as well as after. There's a lot of tests that we do internally to try to find all of the potential mistakes, but we know once we launch it, there's going to be many more mistakes that other people find. So what can we do? How do we make sure that we keep on testing and keep on being as rigorous as possible to improve our systems and to make sure that they continue to adapt and actually help rather than propagate unfair bias.
Interesting, yeah. Brides in white. They should see wedding in China or in Indonesia.
Yes, and I think we're trying to do more of that. For people who haven't checked it out already, we've got a tool called Crowdsource, and we're seeing lots of people, including in Indonesia, donate images so that we get lots from different countries around the world.
Yeah, okay. So the next question will be, and maybe this is the last question, how do you think AI can solve bureaucracy in public services?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of opportunities here. You saw, one of the one of the slides I had was, how policymakers can help to promote AI. And the very first one that I noticed was actually use AI in public services. I think this is an enormous place where policymakers can take and really make a difference. Just to give one example, the Singapore government deployed an advanced AI chatbot for COVID information on gov.singapore, the government's main portal, to answer questions from citizens and businesses. And in fact, this eliminates wait time on calls or in-person meetings. So that's just one example. I think there's many others. For example, translation, automated processing of citizen feedback, right? Handwriting recognition to digitize older files, increase access to medical care. I mentioned the cancer case earlier. A lot of people don't necessarily have access, or there's long wait times to a doctor. What are ways that some of these machine learning tools can help and assist physicians to serve many more people, right? There's opportunities in education. We've got an app at Google called Read Along by Google, and it uses machine learning to actually help students learn to read, and it actually adapts to their style and really helps them to learn. Traffic is another case. So there's many, many different opportunities. And I think making the government a model for using AI can really go a long way towards building trustworthy AI systems.
Yeah, definitely agree. So we need to build a model for government so that it will be simplify everything as well in the running the country. Okay, I think we have lots and lots of questions, very interesting topics, but the time is our limit. So please give a warm up of applause for Karina Cho. And then our highest appreciation, Karina, for your great presentation. And also thank you to Summit participants who took the time to participate in this event. I wish all of us health to do all productive activities during this current new normal period. Before we close this, Karina, please stay with us for a while and then we'll take a photo session together with the MC. Good afternoon and see you on the next keynote session at Inovasi Indonesia Summit 2020.
Thank you, Karina Chow, for presenting a very interesting points that you have raised up, and I believe so. We are all very much honored to have you as part of the keynote speakers for the AI Summit 2020. Thanks.
Thank you. Our chairman is joining us, so we would like to take a picture together, Karina. Everybody's ready? Ya, bisa ditampilkan fotonya bersama-sama? Oke, baik. 3, 2, 1. Sekali lagi, 1, 2, 3. Baik, terima kasih, Karina Chow. Thank you very much. You talk so passionately. What time is it now in California?
It's almost 11:30.
Oh my God. Thank you for staying
midnight.
late for
Have a good
us.
night then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye,
Take care.
Karina.
Okay.
Dan Ibu Sri Savitri. Ya.
Thank you, Sri Savitri, for bringing up this very interesting session. Okay, and also Professor Fukuda is still here as well. Thanks.
Baik, Ibu Sri Savitri masih bersama kami ya, karena setelah ini Ibu Sri Savitri masih akan membawakan lagi keynote session berikutnya, nanti bersama dengan Anna Sawyer, Associate Director Deloitte ya, dan sudah bergabung juga bersama kita pada siang hari ini. Topik kita adalah mengenai National AI Strategy. Ibu Sri masih semangat ya? Sesi kedua?
Yeah.
Mantap, luar biasa Ibu Sri. Baik, kalau begitu langsung saja saya serahkan kembali ke Ibu Sri Savitri MN. Silakan.
Thank you. Good day, Anna. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Inovasi Indonesia AI Summit 2020. I am Sri Savitri. For about 1 hour, I will be your moderator for this keynote session with Anna Sawyer on the topic of National AI Strategy. Please be informed that after the third presentation for 30 minutes, there will be question and answer session for another 30 minutes. For participants who have questions, please write it in the chat column. Before Anna starts her speech today, please allow me to introduce Anna so that we all know about her. Anna is an associate director in Deloitte's Infrastructure Advisory and Contestability Practice in Sydney. Anna is an applied ethicist and has over 12 years of experience in public policy with a focus on the social implications of advanced technology applications. Anna's career spans areas of transport, public sector ethics, and criminal justice, both in government and within non-government organizations. Prior to joining Deloitte, she led and delivered Australia's first driverless vehicle trial, winning numerous international and national awards before supporting other organizations to deliver similar trials across Asia Pacific. Outside of work, Anna recently took on the role of ethics consultant on a dystopian sci-fi thriller for Netflix titled I Am Mother, while completing a Ph.D. in robot ethics. She holds a master in professional and applied ethics, as well as a bachelor in social science. Without further ado, Anna, you may start the presentation now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I will just share my screen. Can I just check that the screen that you're seeing is the full-sized presentation?
Say that again?
Can I just check that what the screen that you're seeing is the full-sized presentation?
Yes, but you have the next slides on the right-hand side.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You need to share screen on the bottom right.
Just give me 1 second. Sorry, apologies. Sure. Is that better?
We can see it's not. You need to click slideshow on the bottom right.
I think it is showing on a separate screen. So what I might do. Is that coming up as a full screen now? Apologies.
Still in PPT, but not. It's still in the slideshow. You need to click the slideshow. Still not in the slideshow.
Okay.
The slideshow, you need to drag the one on the left because I can see it on the left of the screen.
Take your time, no problem. Yes.
Apologies. Is
No
that
problem.
coming up now?
Okay, try again. Yes, you got it.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Technology can work. My
Yeah.
sincere apologies for that. It does seem a bit silly talking about technology and the wonders of technology and not being able to work it. So first of all, my sincere appreciation and acknowledging the participation here and being able to speak to you about the AI national policy today. The presentation is going to go through the following slides now. We are going to talk about the national policy situation in Australia and some of the steps that we take at Deloitte in Australia to discover, develop and monitor AI solutions once deployed in public service. So just to give you a little bit of background, this is the state of affairs when we talk about the policies to support AI. what I have on the right there, where we talk about self-regulation, co-regulation, and also regulation, are the three ways that in which we can regulate technology. Ibu Safitri mentioned that I had worked on driverless vehicles in my past life before Deloitte. And this was one of the areas that we had agonised over when talking about regulation with the Australian government and the advancement of technologies like cabs, connected and automated vehicles. And so we've got three policy situations. The regulated situation really is a way for government to come in and take control of the advancement of technology. This can be seen as a way to hamper advanced technologies because it really is then suggesting that the ability to take risks is less encouraged. And so the co-regulation is a middle ground of those two things. And then self-regulation is a way for government to promote advanced technologies while asking industries to self-regulate and provide that level of assurance. What you see on the left-hand side table is a number of organisations have attempted and gone about ways to provide assurance by self-regulating. And these are some organisations and the kinds of policies that they've put in place. I guess before we talk about how to regulate or how to have a policy framework to support the development of AI, it's good to sort of talk about what AI is. And I'm sure part of this conference, there's been a lot of talk about the different abilities and the capabilities of AI. So I won't labour on this slide for too much longer. But where we, Deloitte, see it is in 5 major categories, and that's in robotics, intelligent automation, analytics, machine learning, and natural language processing. Each of these different buckets of AI can have different uses as well, and this is also important to understand when we are setting up a policy framework. It also does take an ecosystem to deliver effective AI, and I caught the very last part of Karina's presentation on AI in healthcare, and data is definitely a big part of what can and influence and can build on AI. You do need that data repository or that quality data to help support some of that machine learning. Again, I'm sure that we've talked about this before in the conference, so I won't labour on the entire ecosystem that is needed to develop AI. But what I might talk about quickly is some of the use cases that you can implement in public service. Now, public service is such a big beast, and it's typically so burdened by machinery of government or different political or bureaucratic processes. But I think the role of AI and the role of data and smart data and machine learning, it really can give us the opportunity to do things like providing or reducing disparity among our citizens. So providing that universal access. We talk about disability, or we talk about some of those gaps that exist in our societies and have been really tricky to resolve. And so perhaps with AI, we can provide an equal and level playing ground in some of these areas where we have seen those persistent issues. We can also talk about personalised service or smart utilities, and this again comes through when we're talking about smart cities and intelligent monitoring. I did include this example of diagnosing learning difficulties. It is a very, very specific example in a big plethora of public service departments, and it's in education. And this was one that we had talked about previously with a client in Australia, where we were talking about AI governance in education. And one of the things that had come up was, well, what would be the purpose of doing AI or implementing AI within an education setting? And it can be one of these things where you can allow natural language processing to pick up persistent errors in a student's work in a way that a teacher is not able to do, and detect things like learning difficulties much easier. For example, I'm talking about dyslexia as a particular example. And of course, simplifying administrative tasks. This will probably come up a lot when we talk about implementation of AI in public service, is simplifying that administrative process, especially when we start to move away from hard copy forms to online or digitization of some of those processes. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a policy background to what is happening in Australia. I think it's fair to say that all of the countries across the world are starting out on their AI journey, and Australia is certainly not different. In 2019, supported by CSIRO, which is our leading public service or public science research organisation, the federal government released a report into artificial intelligence solving problems, growing the economy and improving our quality of life. Now, that's a really big gambit claims about the role of AI, but I think it sets a really good strategy for what the possibilities of AI once implemented in public service or those kinds of organisations. Now, one thing that the federal government in Australia did do was identify 3 possible specialisations, and that was for better health, aged care and disability. Again, we talk about that disparity and creating an equal level playing ground. That is one area within our Australian society where we do have a bit of a gap, particularly around aged care. Our aged care has gone through a number of royal commissions recently because of the low level of care that our older generations are receiving in public aged care. For better towns, cities and infrastructure, and again, that's talking, referring back to things like smart utilities and intelligent monitoring, and better natural resource management. Again, Australia is one of those countries blessed with really amazing primary resources, and it's talking about those kinds of management. The inverted pyramid on your left there, Australia is a federation. We have a number of states that all have a right to govern, but over those states is the federal policy, which is the federal Australian government. Now, they have come out with an action plan for developing a whole of government AI action plan. And in tandem, that report that I mentioned from CSIRO was accompanying that action plan. It is still in development, and there is a voluntary AI ethics framework that will also help guide businesses and governments looking to design, develop and implement AI in Australia. As I said, we are still in the nascent stages of developing and implementing AI in Australia. And it's sort of reflective of the situation where we haven't got a framework to roll out to organisations just yet. Now, the challenge comes when we have an overarching federal policy and you've got independent states that work underneath that. And so the jurisdictional policies, each of the states have their own. And so, for example, Sydney, where I'm based, the state government is New South Wales, and they have their own AI strategy. Now, the city of Melbourne will have the same situation with the state of Victoria and so on and so forth. And in total, we've got 7 states and territories under the Commonwealth government. So the challenge really starts to appear when we've got a federated system with each of these states and jurisdictions creating their own strategies and policies for AI. And what could happen is there could be conflicting policies, or there could be conflicting ways in which organisations are asked or tasked with ensuring that they adhere to the state laws, but also adhere to, say, for instance, the federal laws. And again, just harking back to an example of driverless vehicles, that's certainly the case. There's a need for a national framework, a national set of traffic laws, for example, because at the moment, each of the own states have their own set of traffic laws. Then we get to the next level, which is the departments. And so in each of the states, there will be a health department or an education department, I'm sure similar to all other countries and jurisdictional-based countries. But where we face a challenge is when these policies or when the role of these particular departments have conflicting thresholds. For example, the use of surveillance or the use of personal information for different outcomes, you've got the police department as opposed to, say, the Department of Education or the Department of Health. Now, their role in the use of surveillance and even the personal information is very different. So how do you create a policy framework and ask external organizations or private companies to adhere to that when we're talking about data-rich AI or opaque decision-making AI, and the people that are actually procuring and using that AI don't have a really good sense of what's being programmed. And so these are some of the really high-level policy challenges that we face. And again, this is not a situation that's unique to Australia and is facing lots of countries. But today, really, I wanted to talk about our three-phased approach for developing an AI policy framework. I think in the beginning stages, especially when we don't have a really good idea of how AI will play a part in our communities or in public service, what can we do to help assure the people that are using it, but also assure the citizens and ensure that they're comfortable with the use of AI in public service. And the role of, I guess, public service is to serve its citizens. So how do you provide that level of assurance? I do have it as a summary here, but we are going to go through each of these three stages in a little bit more detail. So I'll start with discover. Now, this first particular stage is really about understanding the use of AI. So what is AI, and do your public service or do your employees or do your departments have a good understanding of what AI is? And I think it's pretty natural across humankind that we are really afraid of the unknown, and we are afraid when we don't know how it's going to turn out. And that uncertainty of outcome is something that, I'm really interested in as an ethicist, but it's absolutely real. And that fear can also, inhibit progress or inhibit implementation of AI. So one understanding of what AI is and understanding how it fits within the broader strategy and the department itself. So as I said, there's departmental policy, there's also state policy and jurisdictional policy, but there's also federal policy. So is there a good understanding of what AI is actually going to do? Inform the principles so that we can govern AI, including an understanding of the department or the employee's fears and concerns. And this is really important. I think the other thing that is important to do is frame the parameters. What are the parameters in which this AI use is going to be defined within? It's going to do X, but it's not going to do Y. And how do we ensure that it doesn't do Y? The other really important thing is to develop an appendix of use cases. And so that helps make AI really tangible. So if it's going to do smart monitoring of utilities, well, what of that monitoring is it going to do and what isn't it going to do? And I think before we even start to develop and deploy that AI within that setting, it's really important to frame that. That does give people a sense of assurance about what it will do and what it won't do. And the approach that you would take is, what is best practice? You would conduct stakeholder mapping. You would ensure that there are different persona groups so that we understand from a citizen or from a user or from a regulator or from a service provider's perspective, what that looks like from their point of view. Like I said, agreeing and understanding best practice and use cases is absolutely important. So within this phase, what you can develop is a document brief, a stakeholder brief of using the personas. You could have an appendix of use cases and also an AI principles document, again, really important. And what is AI and how will it relate to your organization? I've got a couple of examples here about the things that we at Deloitte do. And the first one is the AI lab. This is a lab that is designed to bring people up to speed on AI. It's best used for leaders and key business practitioners, but it really helps make AI tangible for the the role that they have within their organizations. Another thing that we do is, use case exploration. How is AI going to help you? What skills are you going to use of it? What are your hopes? What are your fears? And really start to build that out. And this will help inform the dictionary of use cases. Next is really developing part. So once you've got that in place and you're ready to deploy AI, how do you do that? And this is really the middle part. It's the development part. And so I guess the first part is really important in setting up the parameters. And then this is when you go to deploy. And I guess when you're setting up a policy framework is understanding the end users to carry out their duties. By now, you'll have a good understanding of what you're going to use AI for and what you're not going to use it for. And so when you've got a good understanding of what you're going to use it for, how should the end users use that? And it might be people in procurement, it might be teachers themselves who are then needing to use AI for detection of homework errors or repeated homework errors. And so what are the governance structures around that and the control environments? This is really where it gets to the nuts and bolts about how you implement that particular tool for the work that you want to do. Now, this I think this part here is absolutely tricky. It's really challenging, particularly for people that aren't involved in the programming of it or have a really good knowledge of it. It does need to be scoped quite tightly. So whatever tool that you're using needs to be scoped very well, and they need to understand what needs to happen in the event that it doesn't go to plan. And so there needs to be resources to help guide users through those principles and to operationalize the framework. I do also have a couple of examples of our ethics framework. Now, I did hear some talk of AI ethics frameworks earlier with Karina's top presentation. This is ours. We look at some key fundamental principles like AI for good and doing no harm, and non-biased data and reducing inequality, and also autonomy being such an important tenet of ethics is ensuring that the people whose data or who is using it have control or are able to understand and provide informed consent of the use of that AI. The other thing that we do is look at risk of AI use. So you'll see that 4-grid matrix there. We talk about, data sensitivity. Is it a high risk? And the output impact, is it a low or a high output? And so one thing that we can do is of all of the use cases that you will have developed in the first part, in the discover part, you might put that into a matrix and say, well, what is of low risk and high output? And they might be the things that you start with compared to things that are of high risk and low output or low impact, and they might be the things that you do later once you've got a much better understanding of AI and AI uses within your department. This is another example of something that we do within Deloitte. It's a model risk assessment report, and it would really just give you a low, medium, high assessment of some of the things that you're implementing, whether it's the data, and you can look at it from a biases perspective or the fairness metrics, and a risk profile report, or is compliance with the AI ethics principles. Again, if a number of different AI tools are being implemented, it gives a really high level view to the person that's having to make that particular decision of which ones to implement or not. In the final stages of our policy framework is really monitor. And the monitor part is to help understand whether the tool that you've implemented is performing in the way that you want it to perform. So ensuring ongoing adoption and appropriateness fit for purpose of the framework, and ensuring that the approach continues to reflect best practice governance. And I think this is so important in a technology or in an area that is developing so very quickly. Public service is fantastic for slowing down process. And I guess the three types of regulation where you've got the self-regulate, co-regulate, or full regulate by government, there's no wonder why governments have opted to go for the self-regulate part, because regulations, when done through government, can slow things down. But how do you continue to advance and progress technologies and ensure that you can monitor what's going on? And this is one of the ways that we think is a good way for ensuring and assuring AI development. The other thing that we would recommend is a technology development update, and doing that quite regularly. So what's changed, what best practices have changed, what use cases are no longer feasible for whatever reason, and which ones do you pick up and try or not. Now, I'm conscious of time, and I know that I took a little while to load my slides earlier, but I am still conscious of time and keeping to the 30 minutes that I've got allotted for this presentation. We do have a wide range of thought leadership on AI. Apologies, I haven't provided links, but hopefully I'll leave this slide up just for a little while, but hopefully you can see the titles and find that on our Deloitte page. But they range from big things in government, so AI ethics, the next big thing in government, AI augmented government, can AI be ethical, and crafting an AI strategy for government leaders. I do recommend that you go ahead and have a look and see for yourself, but they are certainly helpful when trying to think about policy frameworks for AI implementation in public service. I'd also encourage you to visit us at the virtual booth in the Habibi Hall. This is our virtual Deloitte booth. We've got a range of things there. The Age of With is our AI strategy at Deloitte. There's a lot more information there, and also information relating to Deloitte Indonesia as well. I've got some contact names here. Please let us know if you've got any questions, not only in relation to the presentation that I've provided, but some of the work that we already do at Deloitte Indonesia and our government service and consulting capabilities. And please feel free to contact me should you have any questions relating to my presentation. Thank you again for the opportunity, and welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. I wish I've seen the movie that you've advised, I Am Mother, before this session, so that I can understand more, because you're taking a study in robot ethics. So that leads to my question then, before I start with reading the question from the audience. So since you said that you have a background in research in robot ethics, so if we see that in 2016, Gartner has predicted by 2018, more than 3 million workers globally will be supervised by robo-bosses, according to Francis Karamozis, VP of Gartner. So with that condition, can we teach ethics to our robo-boss?
Oh, gosh, it's so tricky. I think humans are still learning ethics. And, so and I guess this is where the ethical conundrum starts is, when we talk about ethics itself, and I'll get to the challenge of why robot ethics is so tricky. But when we talk about ethics itself, and it's really about understanding what is good. And so we've got two fundamental questions: what is good and what is right? And on the inverse, you've got what is bad and what is wrong. And I don't need to go into the trolley problem, but that's a really good example of when people's understanding of what is good or what is right conflict. And so someone might say it's okay to kill 1 to save 5, whereas others might say it's always wrong to kill regardless of the outcome, even if it might be better. And so when we then get to the challenge of robot ethics is, how do we deduce, or how do we distill our understanding of what is good when, in brackets, we all conflict, and teach a thing to automate those actions over and over? And so if if there is ever a stage where humans are supervised by robots, and I think the more likely situation is that a human will become a supervisor of multiple robots and potentially lead to a de-skilling of humans itself, and potentially a lower quality of life for the person when we're just sitting around watching hundreds of automated robots do the work to near perfection without any errors. What is the role of the person? I think it becomes so tricky. And when we talk about robot ethics, we certainly do it in two particular ways. We take a top-down approach and then also a bottom-up approach. And the bottom-up approach is, how do we program each of these things so that their actions are always right and wrong, or their actions don't do anything wrong. But from a top-down approach might be the big policy, and if I was to reframe that into a policy setting, it would be the federated government approach. It's what's the vision, what are the things, what are the outcomes that we want to achieve, and what are the particular KPIs that we want to meet. So is it always about improving the quality of life, whereas the bottom-up approach might be all of those little things that make up the improvements of quality of life. I guess I haven't answered your question so neatly, because this really is the thing that is so challenging for not only ethicists but regulators, is trying to come up with a distilled set of principles that can be repeated over and over. And that's really hard when we have so many exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, because that's challenging, because we even cannot teach ethics to human being, and let alone for robot.
That's right. So, we conflict so much as humans. We all have a different view of what is right or wrong. So repeating that over and over is very tricky.
Yeah, that's right. So still on the discussion about robot boss, because I'm very interested to discuss about it. So, because we see that now robobots is on the rise, which lead to automated management duties and more online worker activities. So which is given also opportunity for greater tracking of worker activities and also performance. So especially in this case of pandemic or COVID case, how can AI offer assistance in improving performance or meeting goals for the online workers?
Yeah, and so this is relating to kind of surveillance, performance-related surveillance of our workers. And it's certainly come up quite a bit, particularly during this pandemic time when we're not working in the physical office. And I think a lot of us are working from a virtual office. And so from that perspective, how do employees or employers ensure that their workers are working on work? And not just watching Netflix in the background.
Yeah.
So this is, surveilled monitoring of, say, what kind of sites you're visiting, for example, or the number of activities on your keyboard. The other thing that has been raised is relating to, say, health-related outcomes of your employees. And so in this time of COVID, there was a smart toilet that was implemented at I can't quite remember which particular airport, but unless you had washed your hands using the sensor soap dispenser and also the sensor tap, whoever was visiting that particular bathroom, the doors would not open until those two things had been triggered. And so, when you talk about robo-boss, there is absolutely instances and examples of these particular nuanced uses or tacit controlling of human autonomy by machines and by robots and by AI. I think it absolutely raises some ethical questions of its uses. And again, this is why a policy framework is so important, is when we set up the parameters of what the AI should do and shouldn't do, and we talk about some of those use cases, if this was to come up, what is the acceptance within society to say this is okay, this is a good use, or it's not? You know, should it just be, should humans be able to decide, and whether greater good really does trump or not?
Yeah. So, but smart toilet will be hard to implement, I think, because every country has different way of washing at the toilet.
Absolutely. And those cultural nuances, absolutely. I missed that last. I just caught the last end of Karina's discussion about weddings. You know, there are all these cultural differences and cultural understanding of what is good or bad as well. And so how does AI ensure what is ethical when even within the departments of philosophy, we have a very Western view of ethics?
Yeah.
And it's not an Eastern ethics or other kind of different ideas of ethics is not well known. And so, it does provide a broader challenge, absolutely.
Yeah. I like the quotes that said that there is a word art in artificial intelligence, meaning that even AI is sophisticated, it still needs human being. So that's the art part. So let's go to a question from audience. In 2020, we've already launched the Indonesia's national AI strategy that contained focused priority sector and quick wins. We developed this along with quadruple helix stakeholders, government, academics, communities, and industries. Would you like to share some experiences in developing national AI strategy from other countries that might be relevant with Indonesia condition?
Yeah, so as I understand it, Indonesian condition is jurisdictional as well. So there are a number of independent or self-governing parts of Indonesia under a federated model, similar to what we have in Australia. And I think from a policy perspective, the fact that there are multiple parties that have already agreed and discussed what the implementation pathway would be is a really fabulous start. The other examples are things like in the European Union, where the role of AI is sort of seen as from an EU perspective, where you have a number of countries that sit underneath that. Speaking from an Australian perspective, that is something that is still being worked through. And I think that just speaks to the challenge of implementation of AI policy. But the first thing would be to agree what those broad principles would be, and understanding the focus areas, and as you've sort of already articulated, what the focus areas of AI implementation look like. As I said, I don't have a huge number of examples to provide because I think this kind of work is still very new and still very nascent. And while a policy framework might be in place, it hasn't really been rigorously tested as yet. And I think we're still waiting to see the outcome or the way that the policy is tested. And I think we're still waiting to learn those learnings just now.
Okay. So the next questions from your presentation, Dak, when the high data sensitivity combined with the high output impact will produce the area of essentials, that is, let AI implemented in mission critical business problem with no human in the loop. Would you like to share some perspective about the level of readiness when we exclude the human in the loop of AI process? Are we that far right now?
I think simple answer would probably be no. And I think mainly because there's a big barrier at the moment, and that is the fear of the unknown. And I don't think any government or any state at the moment would be absolutely comfortable in saying we are going to deploy this AI tool at scale without any human input. And so the role of policy then is really important than providing that assurance. But I don't think any country is willing to do that just yet. Certainly not within its public service, and certainly not without human intervention or human supervision. I think that sort of high risk, high output AI deployment is still a little while away. And so one of the things that I would recommend is starting with the low risk, high output, low hanging fruit, essentially ones where we can demonstrate the potential and the capability of AI.
Okay. So in terms of the AI strategy, so I would like to know about what are the most important drivers for AI strategy to be successfully implemented?
Yeah, fantastic question. Gosh, if only there was a silver bullet and we could say tick. I think what would be a factor in ensuring that AI strategy or AI policy's success is really about articulating the potential for it. So it has to be aspirational and it has to be something positive. And so it would be about improving, or it has to have some sort of positive outcome. Because I think in the first instance, if we were to start with AI deployment as a way to reduce harm, as an example, or to give it a negative connotation, it is going to have that people effect and people are going to be frightened. But whereas if we talk about improvement and we talk about the positive benefits, I think having that kind of strategy would give people a sense of assurance about the role of AI. And so when we talk about potentially healthcare, we talk about improving the quality of life of people that we know need that additional support. So that's a really good use case of it. That's a really good starting point. You wouldn't want to start with, we're going to increase surveillance to catch more criminals, for example, because that then has a negative connotation. And as subjective as that is, I think being mindful of those subjective or social connotations would be key to ensuring the success of an AI strategy within public service.
Yeah, it's kind of challenging to define like a checklist for making it implemented successfully. So what do you think about the KPIs that are mostly used in order to define success in implementing national AI strategy?
So I think in terms of KPIs for implementation, certainly the number of use cases that you can deploy within public service with success, and success might be, and I guess it really does depend on each type of tool that you're implementing. So for example, I gave an example of identifying children at risk of dyslexia, which is the mixing up of certain letters within their reading and writing. So if you were to pick that up and you could identify that, X number of students were able to be supported through earlier detection, that would absolutely be a success. I think it's so hard to, and this is one of the challenges of talking about AI, is the actual success really depends on the kind of deployment that you're seeking. And so AI at a really national level, which is going to be very aspirational, is not going to give you the key indicators that you need when you're talking about actual deployment at an individual level. And so it's really the culmination of all those things. But I think what's important is where you have a number of departments or number of states and the departments within those states that have a very good idea about what it is that they want to use AI for. I think in the first stages, that would be a really key indicator of success, is that your department or whoever is going to use it has a good idea of why they want to use it and how they're going to implement it and what they want it to do and what they don't want it to do.
Yeah, I think that is quite also challenging in order to define KPI that will be based on each country initiative. So you mentioned about in your slide about AI labs. for leaders to make AI tangible. Can you share more detail about it? Where is it located?
This is an immersive lab that Deloitte offer, and it's certainly for organisations and C-suite employees. But it's really to bring everyone up to speed, and it talks to understanding the use of AI in order to develop use cases. I will probably leave it to the people on the screen there to provide more information, and I know there's more information at the Deloitte virtual hub, but it's an immersive lab that we take our clients through that really gives them and brings them up to speed about the potential of AI. So it is a lab that we do offer as part of our suite of offerings at Deloitte Consulting.
Is it available in Indonesia?
Yes, I believe so. I think, I think probably the best people to answer that would be at the virtual hub. Apologies.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you mentioned that in one of your slides is regarding it takes an ecosystem to deliver effective AI, but I think it's more challenging on building this ecosystem instead of being ecosystem. So how do you think that it can be implemented in a more pragmatic or more successful?
Oh gosh, hard question. And I think this is really the challenge is it does take an ecosystem to develop AI. And that ecosystem needs to exist. And all those different parts need to exist so that we can deploy AI. I think if one part, say for instance, the data part, for example, is not as strong, you don't either have historic data or unreliable data that can provide some of the machine learning, it is hard to then understand what sort of decisions the AI tool needs to make in order to project or in order to do that work. How do you build that up? I think there is a myriad of answers that I could give depending on the particular situation. And I guess it really does speak to that broader problem about AI, or the broader challenge of AI policy, is you've got a very high level view of what needs to be in place. And then once you actually come to deploy it, it needs such granular or it needs such specific information that it seems so far away from the aspiration in the first place. And then how do you sort of match those two? How do you ensure that they still align? That really is a challenge, not just for policymakers, but certainly for software designers who have to keep in mind this broader AI strategy and make sure that what they're programming from a bottom-up approach is still meeting those things. Apologies, I think that's such a hard question to answer because of the challenges that it does actually face in real life.
Yeah, that's okay. You're based in Australia, right? So is there an example that you can share with us on how Australia government eradicate COVID using AI?
I think we have resorted to something that's not very artificially intelligent, potentially, but rather something that's much more physical. And that's to have a widespread lockdown in place. And so just speaking to the situation that I'm in at the moment, in New South Wales and in Tasmania, which I have actually resorted to residing in since COVID, is that there's been a hard border in place. And many of the states within Australia have had a hard border in that people can't come in and out of that particular area. And I think fortunately for Australia, it's such a sparsely populated population over such a huge area. So I take, for example, Perth to Sydney, it's a 5-hour plane ride and it's still within the same country. So it hasn't been particularly artificially intelligent in the way that it has managed COVID. And I think something like the tracing app, which the federal government had released, while it has provided some success, physical testing and people actually testing, coming forward for testing has been much more successful than the tracing app itself. And so I would have to say that unfortunately Australia's not been a very great example of that, but I know that other countries have had much greater success with some of their more AI related COVID measures.
Okay. I think there are several other questions, but I think we have also limited time. Please give a round of applause for Anna Sawyer from Deloitte for her insightful presentation. So our highest appreciation for Anna for your great presentation, and also thank you for summit participants who took the time to participate in this event. I wish all of you health to do all productive activities during this current new normal period. Good afternoon and see you in the next keynote session at Innovasi Indonesia Summit 2020. Anna, please stay a bit while, so we would like to take a photo session together. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Anna, for being here in our AI Summit. Thank you, Deloitte, to participate in the AIS Expo. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Terima kasih untuk Ibu Sri Savitri dan juga Anna Sawyer. Kita akan foto bersama seperti biasa dengan partisipan kita dan juga Bapak Kepala BPPT yang juga hadir di sesi kali ini. Baik, sudah semuanya. Kita foto bersama-sama. 3, 2, 1. Sekali lagi. 3, 2, 1. Baik, terima kasih sekali waktunya Ibu Sri Savitri. Sehat selalu Ibu. Sampai jumpa di kesempatan yang akan datang. Bye, Anna Sawyer. Baik, kita akan melanjutkan ke keynote speech yang selanjutnya ya. Tapi waktu masih ada sedikit, boleh saya akan memberikan sedikit highlight untuk besok ya. Mungkin Teknoprend juga berkenan untuk kembali hadir besok ya. Ini besok sangat menarik sekali karena akan dibuka oleh oleh Riri Adriansyah ya, Presiden Director PT Telekomunikasi Indonesia, dengan judul Infrastructure and Data Preparation for the Use of Artificial Intelligence Technology in Indonesia. Kemudian disusul juga dengan keynote speech yang berikutnya dari Insinyur Aswin Sasongko. Ini merupakan Komite Dewan Riset Nasional Republik Indonesia. Dan nanti juga ada webinar session di sana ya mengenai Artificial Intelligence Informing the Present and Shaping the Future for Data Infrastructure yang akan dibuka oleh Dr. Michael Purwoadi, Head of AI National Strategic Working Group 3 ya. Kemudian berikutnya nanti besok ya di jam 10 pagi akan ada keynote speech dari Kit Manchong. Ini adalah Program Director Analytics Platform AP Technical Sales Leader from IBM. Temanya besok adalah Strategies for Preparing Information Infrastructure for the Benefits of Research and Industrial Innovation by Utilizing AI Technology and Big Data Analytics. Kemudian ada webinar lagi nih nanti di session yang berikutnya, Artificial Intelligence Research and Industry Innovation. Akan dibuka oleh Dr. Indra Utoyo MSc, Head of AI National Strategy Working Group 4 ya. Kemudian keynote speech yang berikutnya adalah Reliable Smart City Development Strategy oleh Spencer Morley, Head of Business Development for AI/ML Asia Pacific and Japan Public Sector of AWS. Dan masih ada lagi nih 2 sesi webinar lagi untuk besok ya. Ada AI Technology for National Priority Sector ya, open by Dr. Agus HS Rekso Projo, Defense University. Kemudian nanti ada keynote speech lagi, AI Development Strategy for Healthcare. Ini dipaparkan oleh Ethan Tu ya, dari Taiwan AI Labs founder. Dan untuk terakhir besok ya akan ditutup dengan sebuah webinar session berjudul AI Technology for National Priority Sectors, Healthcare, Education, and Food Supply. Dan nanti akan dibuka oleh Dr. Azril Jarin dari BPPT ya, dan moderatornya adalah Dr. Eko Fajar Prasetyo, Direktur dari BISDEV PT Hikari Solusindo Sukses. Jadi make sure Teknoprend kembali lagi besok ya, tapi belum usai nih. Kita masih punya 2 lagi keynote sessions pada hari ini ya, bersama dengan yang setelah ini nih persis adalah Vicky Setiono, Data and Artificial Intelligence dari Microsoft. Dan topik kita pada siang menjelang sore, sudah bisa dibilang sore ya, pada sore hari ini adalah Driving Innovation Through Responsible AI. Langsung saja kita sapa Mas Vicky. Hai, selamat sore Mas Vicky.
Selamat sore.
Apa kabar? Sehat?
Kabar baik, alhamdulillah. Apa kabarnya?
Baik, kami semua di sini semangat ya untuk Inovasi Indonesia Artificial Intelligence Summit 2020. Terima kasih sekali bergabung. Namun sebelumnya seperti biasa saya harus membacakan dulu CV ya dari Vicky Setiono. In English ya, ini Vicky Setiono spent more than 15 years in the technology industry. Currently working for Microsoft Indonesia as Data and Artificial Intelligence Specialist. He is responsible to help many Indonesian enterprises and state-owned companies to realize their digital transformation ambition by unlocking insights on their data. And Vicky holds education degree from INSEAD, INSEAD Business School and Bina Nusantara University. Did I pronounce it wrong? INSEAD or INSEAD?
That's right.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's perfectly right.
Okay, now the time is yours, Vicky. Silahkan disampaikan, nanti kita kembali lagi dengan question and answer. Silakan, Vicky.
Baik, terima kasih. Saya akan segera men-sharing screen saya. Baik, selamat sore rekan-rekan semua. Terima kasih banyak atas kesempatan dan waktu yang diberikan. Perkenalkan sekali lagi, nama saya Vicky Setiono di Microsoft sebagai Data dan Artificial Intelligence Specialist. Sharing saya hari ini adalah mengenai bagaimana Microsoft melihat berbagai inovasi yang di-empower oleh Artificial Intelligence dan kenapa responsible AI ini adalah sesuatu yang penting, adalah sesuatu yang kita semua perlu pahami di dalam era transformasi digital yang akan sangat banyak berhubungan dengan AI. Sebelum masuk ke apa itu responsible AI dan kenapa responsible AI itu penting, izinkan saya untuk share bagaimana Microsoft melihat perkembangan pengaplikasian AI sejauh ini. Microsoft berkesempatan membantu berbagai customer kami dari berbagai sektor industri yang sebetulnya merupakan contoh nyata bagaimana AI bukan lagi hype atau bukan lagi buzzword. AI adalah sesuatu yang memberikan value creation yang nyata, memberikan value add, memberikan nilai tambah baik secara komersial maupun secara individual kita. Beberapa contoh yang mungkin worthy untuk dimention di sini, CDC, Central of Disease Protection, Center of Protection di Amerika, bagaimana mereka menangani berbagai case COVID-19 dengan memanfaatkan virtual assistant, chatbot yang berbasis dengan AI, 1,5 juta message per hari yang ditangani untuk membantu penanganan terhadap COVID-19. Kemudian sektor manufacturing seperti Schneider Electric, bagaimana mereka mengkombinasikan teknologi Internet of Things, melakukan data collection dari mesin, dari sensor, dari devices, dan bagaimana data itu digunakan oleh AI untuk membantu operator manufaktur, membantu operator di oil and gas rig, memahami kondisi kesehatan mesin mereka, memahami kondisi aset mereka, memastikan terjadinya analisa lebih awal terhadap kemungkinan daripada breakdown-nya sebuah aset. Atau Walgreens Boots Alliance, mereka adalah retail farmasi, bagaimana AI mereka gunakan untuk memahami kondisi stok mereka, kemudian melakukan forecasting daripada inventory mereka yang membuat mereka secara operasional menjadi lebih efisien. Adalah hal-hal yang Microsoft lihat bahwa pada era saat ini AI sudah memberikan beberapa real value yang kemudian kita yakin pengaplikasian akan lebih luas lagi. Untuk Microsoft sendiri sebetulnya AI sangat dekat. Pada saat Microsoft mention AI, baik skenarionya adalah Microsoft AI digunakan oleh customer kami, ataupun kami gunakan sendiri di dalam pengembangan R&D dalam produk kami, seperti Microsoft Teams misalnya, bagaimana kami menangani setiap jam 1,8 juta transcription real time, sehingga memungkinkan antar bahasa, orang-orang dengan berbeda bahasa bisa saling berbicara di Microsoft Teams, dan scalability yang sangat besar menangani 1,8 juta translasi dalam setiap jam. Kemudian tools yang sangat kita cintai, PowerPoint. Kalau Anda pernah menggunakan PowerPoint Designer, PowerPoint Designer itu di belakangnya ada artificial intelligence yang membantu Anda mendesain PowerPoint dengan lebih cantik. 1 miliar PowerPoint Designer telah digunakan oleh berbagai customer saat ini, kemungkinan juga oleh Anda, atau mungkin Anda juga seorang gamer sama seperti saya. Bagaimana saya mendapatkan experience yang menyenangkan pada saat saya mendapat usulan game-game yang sesuai dengan kesukaan saya, apa yang kita bilang dengan kemampuan AI untuk memberikan rekomendasi, dan masih banyak lagi. Untuk kemudian bahwa R&D AI di Microsoft baik kami kembangkan untuk teknologi kami sendiri maupun kita hadirkan untuk customer. Kemudian pertanyaan berikutnya, bagaimana dengan Indonesia? Sebetulnya tidak jauh. Misi Microsoft adalah to empower every person and every organization to achieve more. Dan hal ini tidak terlepas bagaimana kami kembangkan semua teknologi Microsoft, baik itu cloud, baik itu Office 365 yang Anda gunakan sehari-hari, termasuk juga dengan artificial intelligence. Kami ingin teknologi ini mengempower every person dan every organization untuk menjadi lebih lagi. Dan kemudian misi ini kami lokalisasi di Microsoft Indonesia dengan konsep memberdayakan Indonesia. Pengembangan pengaplikasian AI di Indonesia kemudian banyak dikembangkan lebih jauh lagi. Salah satu kesempatan terbesar kami untuk bisa membantu Indonesia menjadi lebih baik lagi, to empower Indonesia to achieve more. Pada 27 Februari tahun ini, bertepatan dengan 25 tahunnya hadirnya Microsoft di Indonesia, kami mengadakan salah satu acara terbesar kami, yaitu adalah Developer Conference, yang juga dihadiri oleh keynote speaker, salah satunya adalah Bapak Presiden Jokowi, dan juga CEO kami, Satya Nadella, yang eventnya juga dihadiri oleh beberapa jajaran Kabinet Indonesia Maju, di mana visi yang sangat jelas datang dari Pak Presiden dan juga dari Microsoft bahwa berkembangnya digital ekonomi di Indonesia tidak lepas juga dari tren yang ada di luar Indonesia, bahwa teknologi seperti cloud, big data, AI, dan cyber security adalah komponen-komponen enabler yang sangat penting pada saat kita melihat bagaimana Indonesia akan bisa menjadi lebih yang terdepan lagi di dalam digital ekonomi, dan Microsoft Indonesia hadir untuk mensupport Indonesia to empower every Indonesian and every Indonesia organization to achieve more. AI bagi Microsoft bukan hanya sekedar produk, bukan hanya sekedar solusi yang digunakan oleh Anda, baik personal maupun perusahaan. AI bagi Microsoft adalah sesuatu hal yang penting, di mana kami membuat sebuah konsep bahwa AI juga harus membuat impact yang positif terhadap society, terhadap environment, terhadap lingkungan, di dalam konsep yang kami sebut dengan AI for good atau AI for Earth. Jejak.in atau dibacanya Jejak.in, ini adalah salah satu startup di Indonesia yang menggunakan Microsoft AI, yang tujuan mereka adalah how to combat and challenge financial climate change, how to combat climate change. Jadi bagaimana sekarang mereka menggunakan teknologi AI dalam rangka mensukseskan program pemerintahan ataupun berbagai program yang sifatnya seperti penghijauan kembali, penghutanan kembali, pengurangan carbon emission. Dan ini adalah salah satu contoh bagaimana kita melihat AI tidak hanya sektor komersial, tidak hanya sektor individual seperti kita yang memanfaatkan seperti PowerPoint, Teams, ataupun Xbox, tapi juga kita manfaatkan teknologi AI ini for a greater good untuk Indonesia dan juga untuk lingkungan kita. Sedikit gambaran bagaimana mereka berinovasi dengan Microsoft AI. Jejak.in menggunakan berbagai jenis data geospasial, data dari mobile applications, dari IoT sensors, dari data dari drone, dari satelit, dan bagaimana machine learning membantu mereka untuk memahami berbagai informasi yang datang dari berbagai source ini, yang kemudian ditranslasikan menjadi sebuah rekomendasi atau sebuah output dalam rangka membantu mereka memastikan suksesnya program-program reforestation, seperti pengurangan carbon emission, memonitor kualitas air dan tanah, dan kemudian memastikan keberlangsungan biodiversity di hutan-hutan Indonesia. Itu adalah bagaimana contoh AI juga dapat diaplikasikan untuk greater good scenario. Dan kemudian saya masuk ke responsible AI. Apa itu responsible AI? Saya yakin di topik-topik sebelumnya telah dibahas topik mengenai ethical AI. Responsible AI ini adalah konsep yang mengedepankan unsur ethics, responsible, dan accountable daripada inovasi AI itu sendiri. Dan kenapa itu penting? Apa artinya? Pertama, kita perlu melihat bahwa AI ini adalah sebuah teknologi yang kecepatan inovasinya berbeda dengan teknologi lain. Contoh apa inovasi yang dilakukan oleh Microsoft di sini, di mana secara generik tidak hanya Microsoft, teknologi AI dikembangkan untuk sangat dekat dengan human intelligence, proximity-nya sangat dekat sehingga dia bisa berlaku sebagaimana layaknya human intelligence. Di Microsoft kita mengembangkan teknologi AI untuk dapat membaca seperti layaknya manusia, dapat berbicara, dapat memahami objek, dapat menyimpulkan sesuatu, dapat melakukan decision making, dapat memahami bahasa, dan bagaimana kemiripan dari teknologi ini yang merupai human intelligence harus disertai dengan unsur-unsur ethical yang sifatnya itu dapat dipertanggungjawabkan, responsible and accountable. Saya akan memberikan contoh beberapa evidence, penerapan yang evidence yang kemudian mengilhami Microsoft untuk menerapkan responsible AI. Pertama, pada saat kita melihat sebuah case di salah satu US hospital, di mana AI digunakan untuk decision making dan terdapat insiden di mana treatment yang dilakukan untuk ras yang berbeda memberikan algoritma AI yang dihasilkan memberikan decision untuk melakukan health treatment yang berbeda di antara ras. Kemudian ini yang kita sebut dengan yang dipertanyakan mengenai fairness aspek dari algoritma AI. Kemudian pada saat AI digunakan untuk computer vision, untuk memahami facial recognition, kemudian terjadinya beberapa case yang juga cukup real bahwa kulit putih mendapatkan akurasi yang lebih baik dibandingkan dengan non kulit putih misalnya. Dan kemudian sekarang lagi sangat zamannya home appliance pun diterapkan dengan robotik. Bagaimana sekarang home appliance ini bisa memahami peta atau kondisi dari rumah Anda dan bagaimana mereka memahami seluk-beluk dari rumah Anda. Dan bagaimana kita memastikan data yang dikolek, kalau dulu mungkin kita hanya memahami data dikolek oleh sistem, oleh human. Sekarang data dikolek oleh robot. Bagaimana sekarang data-data yang dikolek ini oleh non-human ini juga tetap di dalam kaidah-kaidah yang menjamin, memastikan terjadinya data privacy dan data security. Pada saat terjadinya insiden-insiden yang menyebabkan human life incident, bagaimana algoritma-algoritma ini harus bisa dipertanggungjawabkan. Pada saat kita melihat advancing daripada teknologi AI, kita lihat autonomous car sudah menjadi kenyataan saat ini. Bagaimana kemudian ke depannya teknologi AI akan bisa jadi lebih baik lagi dan mengurangi atau menghilangkan terjadinya insiden-insiden seperti ini. Inilah yang dipikirkan sangat dalam oleh Microsoft pada saat kami mengembangkan teknologi AI kami. Konsep responsible AI ini kami terjemahkan lebih jauh menjadi apa yang kami sebut dengan Microsoft AI Principle. Microsoft AI Principle pada dasarnya memastikan bahwa R&D AI kami memenuhi concern-concern dan menjawab concern-concern yang memang selalu akan timbul terhadap penerapan teknologi AI. Apa saja pilar-pilar ini akan saya coba explain sedikit. Pertama adalah fairness, mungkin tadi seperti contoh yang saya sampaikan mengenai fairness. Bagaimana AI system harus dapat men-treat semua orang, semua tipe orang dengan fair. How we treat all people fairly. Berikutnya adalah reliability and safety. Pada saat tadi kita lihat AI diaplikasikan di autonomous car, diaplikasikan di lantai manufaktur, diaplikasikan di oil and gas rig di tengah laut. Bagaimana AI system harus dapat dioperasikan secara reliable dan menjamin keamanan. Berikutnya adalah privacy dan security. Kita ada terus di dalam era di mana data kita akan dikolek dengan lebih banyak lagi, tidak terkecuali dengan penerapan teknologi AI. Bagaimana kami memastikan AI system harus bisa secure dan merespek privacy. Kemudian inclusiveness. Inclusiveness adalah mengenai bagaimana AI system harus dapat memberdayakan semua orang dan mengengage semua tipe orang tanpa terkecuali. Tidak boleh hanya ada golongan orang tertentu yang menggunakan AI dan meninggalkan golongan orang lain yang tidak dapat menggunakan AI. Dan kemudian ini ditopang oleh dua pilar utama. Pilar pertama adalah transparansi. Bagaimana kita memastikan bahwa algoritma AI system should be understandable. Artinya kita akan memastikan, Microsoft akan memastikan bahwa teknologi AI kami bukanlah sebuah black box. Bagaimana algoritma ini dapat dipahami oleh berbagai domain teknis yang kemudian memberikan pengertian bagaimana cara bekerjanya si AI ini. Dan terakhir ada accountability. Pada akhirnya accountability ini akan memastikan pengembangan teknologi AI harus disertai dengan aspek daripada accountability dari si pengembang itu sendiri, tidak terkecuali oleh Microsoft. Salah satu contohnya mungkin adalah machine learning. Salah satu tools AI-nya Microsoft yang sangat banyak yang banyak digunakan oleh customer kami untuk melakukan berbagai jenis decision making. Dan kemudian bagaimana kami memastikan Microsoft AI Principle diterapkan di dalam tool seperti ini. Jadi pada saat kita Anda membangun AI machine learning model Anda sendiri, kita membantu machine learning engineer atau machine learning developer memahami model Anda, memahami model behavior Anda, dan melakukan mitigasi daripada unfairness. Yang mana sangat mungkin unfairness itu terjadi pada saat pengembangan machine learning atau AI algorithm dan kemudian memberikan bias di dalam modelnya. Mungkin salah satu contoh yang sangat dekat dengan saya pada saat membantu institusi keuangan, financial service, sebuah decision making yang dilakukan oleh machine learning untuk melakukan credit scoring terhadap sebuah peminjaman kepada sebuah UKM. Apakah sebuah UKM yang beroperasi di dalam sebuah daerah yang terinfeksi dengan COVID tinggi hanya karena kantornya UKM tersebut berada di daerah tersebut sehingga mereka harus mendapatkan credit score yang lebih rendah? Ini adalah contoh yang mungkin bias akan terjadi di dalam situasi-situasi pengembangan teknologi AI ke depannya. Dan bagaimana kita, Microsoft, kami, memastikan tools ini membantu Anda memahami lebih baik apa yang akan Anda bangun. Dan ini adalah hanya salah satu contoh bagaimana kami memastikan Microsoft AI Principle akan menjadi sebuah unsur utama di dalam pengembangan teknologi AI-nya Microsoft. Dan salah satu contoh yang nyata adalah dengan EY. Pada saat kami membantu mereka untuk membuat apa yang disebut dengan EY Trusted AI Platform, membantu mereka berinovasi dengan AI, memahami customer dengan lebih baik, mengidentifikasi fraud dengan lebih awal, melakukan decision loan yang lebih fair, tapi juga di saat berinovasi juga melakukan penerapan konsep responsible AI dengan baik. Saya akan sharing video ini untuk menjadi salah satu referensi kita.
At EY, we fundamentally try to make the world a better working place through trying to put AI and cloud at the forefront of digital transformations. Our Trust AI platform is something that we've been building to help our clients really understand where the risks of AI are manifesting from. And now in the last couple of years, there's been a tremendous desire to use machine learning.
Machine learning models are created by humans and also are exposed to unfairness as a result. That can take the form of unfair treatment of individuals that are part of the protected groups such as gender, race, income, age, etc.
We use Azure Machine Learning and the Fair Learn open source toolkit to support our efforts on our Trust AI platform. And it is basically designed on different interrogations that we do of our clients' AI systems to better understand their risk profile and to manage those risks.
Learn is a very, very cutting-edge approach towards fairness, which actually ensures our approach in using it going forward for all our different projects where we talk about fairness. Because it's open source, we're seeing the latest in the fairness algorithms and metrics within the tool. When we put FairLearn to the test with real mortgage adjudication data, it improved the fairness of loan decisions. Before mitigation, the models had a disparity of 7% between men and women. After mitigation, the disparity was less than 0.5%. Our data scientists and IT teams use MLOps to help accelerate the work while maintaining fairness levels. We monitored every step of the process using the MLOps capabilities in Azure Machine Learning.
Microsoft's been a real leader in recognizing the need for ethics and responsibility in regards to how we think about responsibility AI.
This is filling a real need of our clients. They're seeing more successful AI deployments, which is translated to greater trust in their AI systems, and ultimately an acceleration in achieving their desired business outcomes.
Ya mungkin case yang tadi bisa dipelajari untuk kemudian mengemphasize apa yang sudah saya sharing sebelumnya, bagaimana sekarang sebetulnya konsep responsible AI bukan hanya agenda Microsoft sendiri. Kalau dilihat di video tadi, banyak sekali open source library yang bisa digunakan untuk memastikan kemudian community teknologi bergerak ke arah yang sama untuk memastikan aspek daripada responsible AI. Yang tadi bisa dilihat aspeknya sebelumnya, peminjaman loan mempunyai disparity, bahwa laki-laki akan lebih mungkin mendapatkan loan dibanding perempuan, dan kemudian bagaimana aspek daripada algoritma AI yang diterapkan di dalam guidance AI ini akhirnya membuat equality, bahwa kemudian akhirnya menghilangkan bias di dalam teknologi AI. Referensi yang lebih jauh lagi, artikel yang lebih jauh lagi dapat dilihat di sini. Pada saat Anda ingin melihat sebuah guidelines yang Microsoft buat, sebetulnya apa yang Anda perlu pertimbangkan, aspek-aspek apa, teknologinya apa, toolsnya apa, termasuk untuk audience non-teknis kita sediakan yang namanya AI Business School. Bagaimana sekarang untuk non-technical person, untuk non-technical background, memahami AI lebih baik, karena Anda sebagai business user yang akan menggunakan teknologi AI ini untuk membantu kehidupan Anda sehari-hari, pemahaman terhadap responsible AI ini akan sangat berguna. Juga guidelines, jika Anda adalah sebuah developer aplikasi, Anda sebuah perusahaan yang akan membangun aplikasi AI, kita memberikan guidelines for responsible AI. Apa yang Anda perlu pertimbangkan pada saat Anda membangun AI system yang tidak hanya membantu Anda meraih tujuan yang diinginkan, tapi juga memastikan konsep-konsep responsible AI tadi juga dapat tercover dengan baik. Ini adalah slide terakhir saya. Mohon maaf kalau terlalu cepat, dikarenakan mungkin ada keterbatasan waktu. Terima kasih banyak atas kesempatan yang diberikan, dan saya kembalikan lagi kepada forum dan MC.
Untuk Mas Vicky, wow, menarik sekali ya sharing yang disampaikan, luar biasa sekali. Boleh memberikan aplaus ya masing-masing di rumah yang menyaksikan saat ini untuk Mas Vicky. Nah, tapi kita boleh ya untuk ada question and answer sebentar ya Mas Vicky. Oke, kita sudah ada pertanyaan. Baik, Mas Vicky, salah satu prinsip Microsoft AI dalam tema responsible AI adalah inclusiveness ya. Apakah dapat definisikan lebih lanjut poin ini dan bagaimana contoh penerapan real dari implementasi konsep inclusiveness AI ini oleh Microsoft? Silakan, Mas.
Terima kasih banyak. Inclusiveness secara definisi di Microsoft AI Principles adalah bagaimana kami Microsoft memastikan AI system should empower everyone, dapat memberdayakan siapapun, dan contoh yang real yang sangat banyak diterapkan saat ini adalah bagaimana kami membuat AI system. Kembali lagi, kita tidak ingin AI ini hanya digunakan oleh sekumpulan atau beberapa tipe people atau orang saja. Kita membuat teknologi AI yang bisa digunakan oleh orang-orang dengan keterbatasan fisik atau disabled. Sebagaimana diketahui mungkin teknologi AI yang sifatnya meniru human intelligence banyak digunakan oleh kita yang diberkahi dengan kemampuan fisik yang sempurna. Namun kita membuat teknologi AI ini juga dapat digunakan oleh disabled people. Contohnya adalah Siang app, aplikasi Siang, S-E-E-I-N-G, bisa dicari di search engine, Siang application Microsoft, di mana itu adalah sebuah aplikasi yang membantu orang-orang disabled dengan kemampuan melihat yang terbatas, di mana mobile application mereka akan mampu membantu mereka melihat apa yang ada di sekitar mereka. Jadi kalau saya nyalain aplikasinya, saya tahu di depan saya sedang ada monitor, di sebelah kanan saya sedang ada kulkas, di sebelah kiri saya sedang ada apa. Kalau mereka ke restoran, mereka baca menu restoran, mereka bisa membantu, aplikasinya bisa membantu mereka untuk memahami menu di restoran itu apa. Atau contoh lain misalnya di Xbox, karena saya adalah seorang gamer sangat dekat dengan hati saya, inovasi-inovasi seperti kita membantu anak-anak disabled yang mempunyai kekurangan fisik di tangannya, sehingga mereka tidak bisa memegang game controller, dan kita membuat AI based game controller yang dapat dioperasikan dengan anak-anak yang mohon maaf tidak mempunyai jari, untuk kemudian mereka masih bisa menikmati game dan bersenang dengan teman dan keluarga mereka. Itu adalah contoh inclusiveness yang Microsoft ingin terus kembangkan, bahwa siapapun akan terus dapat menikmati benefit daripada inovasi teknologi berbasis AI ini.
So there's no limitation ya, semuanya bisa menggunakan teknologi berbasis AI. Baik, masih ada pertanyaan lagi, Vicky. Berdayakan Indonesia sebagai tema Microsoft di Indonesia disampaikan melalui beberapa kolaborasi dengan beberapa BUMN dan juga sektor swasta. Nah, apakah dapat dijelaskan bagaimana teknologi AI akan dapat digunakan oleh sektor industri seperti BUMN ini dan apa benefit yang dapat diharapkan? Silakan.
Baik, terima kasih banyak. Yang sangat menarik bagi kami di Microsoft adalah melihat bagaimana Indonesian government termasuk juga BUMN, sebagaimana juga sektor swasta, tapi tentunya dalam konteks ini adalah BUMN, mempunyai strategi transformasi digital yang sangat baik, mempunyai visi bagaimana mereka akan bertransformasi secara digital. Dan kami berkesempatan berkolaborasi dengan beberapa BUMN, contohnya dari sektor keuangan seperti Bank Mandiri, membantu mereka untuk menjadi lebih baik, menjadi lebih kompetitif dalam bidang mereka, membantu mereka melayani customer dengan lebih baik. Itu adalah salah satu contoh penerapan AI untuk membantu customer experience. Dan kemudian mungkin dengan Pertamina, bagaimana kita akan mengeksplorasi penggunaan teknologi seperti cloud, big data, dan AI untuk membantu mereka menjadi lebih efisien di dalam operasi mereka, membantu mereka menganalisa apa yang sedang terjadi dari hulu ke hilir, dan kemudian membuat data-driven decision making. Juga kemudian dengan yang menarik mungkin contohnya dengan Telkomsel, di mana AI akan dapat digunakan untuk mentransform bisnis model, di mana nanti kita akan berkolaborasi dengan mereka memanfaatkan private LTE layanan Telkomsel yang akan dikolaborasikan dengan teknologi AI yang kemudian akan membantu mereka mengembangkan bisnis model baru. Jadi ini adalah area-area yang sangat excited. Waktu yang this is a very exciting times untuk Microsoft berkontribusi lebih jauh lagi untuk Indonesia.
Baik, Mas Vicky, one more question boleh ya?
Iya, silakan.
Okay. Would you like to share some use cases that Microsoft has been done related with the implementation of AI in pandemic issues?
Oke, mungkin salah satu, should I explain in English?
Boleh di bahasa, boleh.
Oke, mungkin salah satu yang sangat banyak terjadi saat ini, tadi mungkin yang saya share di awal adalah CDC. CDC itu adalah organisasi kesehatan di United States, di Amerika, yang memang menangani penanganan simptom COVID-19 dengan menggunakan chatbot, di mana virtual assistant yang dibuat oleh mereka melakukan amplifikasi kemiripan human intelligence dalam konteks membantu banyak masyarakat di sana memahami simptom-simptom COVID-19, sehingga penanganan COVID-19 di sana oleh CDC dapat ditangani secara digital yang di-empower oleh AI. Itu salah satunya. Di kesempatan lain, saya berkesempatan juga melihat bagaimana sektor-sektor seperti financial service, seperti sektor keuangan, kemudian berusaha memahami bagaimana mereka melihat kondisi customer mereka. Saya yakin ini tidak hanya terbatas di satu industri. Bagaimana mereka melihat tren baru dari COVID-19. Salah satu yang paling menarik bagi saya adalah dari use case ini adalah dulu kita melakukan analisa baik itu di zamannya AI atau tidak berdasarkan historical data. Jadi historical data itu sangat banyak digunakan untuk memahami banyak hal, memahami seasonality, memahami pola-pola pembelian customer, memahami pola-pola terjadinya fraud, dan yang kemudian terjadi di COVID-19 adalah hilangnya seasonality tersebut. Kalau dulu mungkin banyak banget yang beli kendaraan baru misalnya menjelang Idul Fitri, terus kemudian spike tertentu terjadi tiba-tiba dulu kalau mungkin mbaknya pernah ikutan midnight sale misalnya di dalam di mall-mall yang kemudian membuat spike di dalam penjualan.
Ini kalau tahun lalu nggak ada pandemi 11-11 nih udah ke mall ya?
11-11 udah pasti ke mall cari parkir malam-malam di mall demi dapat last discount item. Dan bagaimana sekarang pola-pola itu di zaman COVID sudah tidak ada lagi. Pattern seasonality sudah tidak ada lagi gitu ya, kayak sekarang saya ada di rumah misalnya, dan saya yakin kita semua banyak sekali work from home, sehingga bagaimana AI membantu mereka memahami pola-pola baru, behavior baru dari operation mereka, dari customer mereka. Ini adalah capability di mana human intelligence mempunyai keterbatasan untuk secara continuous memahami apa yang akan terjadi. Disinilah kolaborasi human dengan AI akan sangat powerful mengidentifikasi pola dan tren baru. Jadi sangat exciting bahwa justru era-era saat ini, new normal era saat ini adalah sebuah momentum di mana digital technology jadi sangat-sangat applicable.
Oke, baik. Vicky Stiono, terima kasih sekali untuk waktunya ya, sudah sharing hari ini dan menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan dari partisipan kita pada sore hari ini. Vicky Stiono sehat terus, sukses untuk Anda. Say hi untuk Microsoft Team ya. Sehat semuanya.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, dan kita akan foto bersama terlebih dahulu ya, bersama dengan partisipan. Seperti biasa kita akan tampilkan partisipan kita. Oke, kita akan foto bersama, sebentar tunggu ya. Kita sedang menunggu teman-teman partisipan yang akan bergabung. Bersama kita juga ada Bapak Kepala BPPT juga, Bapak Dr. Insinyur Hamam Riza MSc. Sudah bisa ditampilkan? Baik, sudah hadir semuanya. Mari kita foto bersama. 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi, 1, 2, 3. Terima kasih untuk waktunya. Baik, terima kasih. Itu tadi ya, Teknoprend. Ada
terima kasih Pak Vicky untuk kesempatannya hadir. Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak. Selamat sore.
Baik, tadi sudah kita saksikan bersama, kita dengarkan bersama paparan dari Vicky Stiono, Data and Artificial Intelligence Microsoft ya, dengan topiknya Driving Innovation Through Responsible AI. Dan the very last keynote session of the day ya, yang juga salah satu yang paling banyak ditunggu ya oleh Teknoprend tentu saja. Topik kita adalah Unlocking the Potential of AI from Machine Intelligence Perspective. Dan sudah bergabung dengan kita Binma, Principal Engineer Alibaba Cloud Damo Academy Singapore. Ya, Binma sudah bersama dengan kita. Baik, hai Binma. Hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you. How are you?
Fine. Thank you.
How's everything in Singapore? Is everything okay with the COVID?
Yeah, everything's fine. Thanks.
Okay. I would like to read your curriculum vitae first. Dr. Binma, Teknoprend, is a principal engineer in Alibaba and leading the R&D Center Singapore. Before he joined Alibaba, he was a senior scientist leading the speech group at Institute for Infocom Research, A-Star Singapore. He has served as the technical program co-chair for InterSpeech 2014 and IEEE ASRU 2019, and also editor for speech communication and IEEE ACM transactions on audio, speech, and language processing, which are top conferences and journals in speech and language processing. He published more than 150 papers in prestigious journals and conferences. He was team member for the 2013 President Technology Award of Singapore, the highest form of recognition for research scientists and engineers in Singapore. And also we all know, Alibaba is the largest marketplace in the world, and now we have the opportunity to talk to Binma himself. And the topic that is going to be presented today is unlocking the potential of AI from machine intelligence perspective. Are you ready, Binma?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. So I share a screen. Can you see my screen? So can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So very good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Binma from Singapore R&D Center, Alibaba Damo Academy. So it is my honor to be here to introduce the machine intelligence technologies at Alibaba, especially the technologies related to human-machine communication. See, I will also take this opportunity to introduce the deployment of these technologies in some real applications. There are a number of technologies for machine intelligence. So among them, speech and natural language processing and visual technologies has been well studied in the past several decades. So in recent years, they have been able to provide intelligent applications to the users with satisfied and robust performance. So I list some of the technologies at the left side, and the applications can be supported at the right side. So if we have speech recognition only, we can have speech-to-text applications, as well as voice keyword spotting. So speech synthesis technology can support text-to-speech. So if we have microphone array and speech signal processing technologies, so we can work for speech enhancement and noise reduction for real communication software, such as Zoom, so that the audience can have a better meeting experience. So furthermore, with the microphone array and signal processing, voice-enabled home application and in-car application can be supported. And we can have a smart meeting room to generate the transcriptions of the meeting recordings. And we may also transcribe in the meeting who spoke when and what, so that we get a meeting minutes automatically. So with the natural language understanding added to the technology list, we can conduct analytics of the conversation and meetings, can support chatbot as well as smart speaker applications, and can provide intelligent customer service for call centers with quality control analysis and automatic speech dialogue. So if we add machine translation technology, speech translation from translating voice from one language to another is doable. When visual technology is added, the machine is able to understand the video content and translate the video into text. So when visual information is available beside the speech and text information, emotion analytics can be made more accurately, and we can also have a better human-machine interaction capability. So before I go into the detail of the technologies and the applications, I would like to give a short introduction about the machine intelligence department at Alibaba. So this figure shows Damo Academy, which is the R&D team at Alibaba. So there are 5 research areas and 14 laboratories. The 5 research areas are machine intelligence, data computing, robotics, financial technology, and X laboratory, such as quantum lab and the AI labs for AI products. I would like to highlight the machine intelligence area, which has multiple laboratories, including speech, language technology, image and vision, decision intelligence, and the city brain. So in the machine intelligence department, we call it as MAND. There are 7 research centers in China, US, Israel, and Singapore, with more than 1,000 researchers and engineers. 45% of them has a Ph.D. degree. So from 2017 to 2019, we have published 139 journal articles, filed more than 200 patents. So our colleagues are providing professional services in 28 international academic institutions as the members, even fellows. So we also achieved good performance in 21 international benchmark competitions and received 3 national level or provincial level award in China. So this figure shows the research topics in mind. So the fundamental research at the bottom on algorithms and optimization, deep learning, and data mining directly supports the research for intelligent decision. And above this, we have a speech interaction, natural language processing, image and vision, 3 major research directions. So the speech interaction is the most natural way for human being. It's also an important capability for human-machine communication. So this figure shows the technology developments for speech interaction at Alibaba. So in order to have a speech interaction product, a number of technologies are required. From left to right, we have an acoustic hardware design team for microphone array design. Speech signal processing is to obtain high-quality speech signal from microphone with multiple algorithms, including blind source separation, directional beam algorithm, echo cancellation, and auto gain control. The keyword detection is used as a wake-up function for the speech interaction, which normally requires a low power consumption. So speech recognition converts voice into text, spoken language understanding for the semantic meaning, and then dialogue management control the dialogue with human, and the speech synthesis play the response voice. So in the next several slides, I would like to make an introduction for some of these technologies. For the IoT voice module for speech interaction, so we require 3 features in the development. So high performance based on 2 to 4 microphones with highly anti-noise front-end algorithms. Inexpensive with multi-core heterogeneous chip and a real-time operation system, and a low power consumption. So this feature make it suitable for speech processing application at home environments. So for speech recognition purpose, we have a blind source separation based multiple input and multiple output front-end signal processing, and jointly optimization for signal processing and keyword spotting. To address speech acoustics and signal processing for meeting scenario, for example, we have a microphone development board with a Polo microphone array and all-in-one unit with a linear array for audio-visual meetings. Since they are designed with a differential directional microphone array, it can provide high directional sound localization, distance voice accuracy, can capture the voice clearly from more than 5 meters away in the meeting room. It has strong deliberation capabilities and high quality voice. It is also equipped with state-of-the-art 3A algorithms, auto gain control, auto noise suppression, and auto echo cancellation. So speech recognition is also called ASR, automatic speech recognition. So we have a proposed deep FSMN modeling algorithm for large vocabulary speech recognition in ICASP 2018 conference, and make it available as open source. So FSMN is a feed-forward sequential memory network, which can effectively model long-term dependency in time series without using recurrent feedback. So it introduces a small latency, and then it is suitable for real-time speech recognition application. So recently, we have also worked out an integrated modeling of end-to-end ASR and the post-processing for small footprint, high performance, on-device ASR system. So this end-to-end techniques has been in the 2 papers in the Interspeech 2020 conference, which is the top conference in spoken language processing. Natural language understanding is a key technology in artificial intelligence. So it is to understand the semantic information of human languages. Here, I would like to introduce 2 research areas at Alibaba on natural language understanding. One research is a machine translation of multiple languages with neural network modeling. So based on the deep learning technique with context attention, so we map the text of different languages to a unified semantic space so that we can generate the text of the target languages more effectively, especially for those low-resource languages. In the machine translation competition, WMT 2018, the team achieved top performance in the translation from English to Chinese, between English and Russian, and between English and Turkish. So another research is for machine reading comprehension. It is like a machine read articles, and then machine can answer questions related to the articles. So similarly, reading material is mapped to semantic space, and then the answers can be obtained based on the semantic matching. In the 2018 reading comprehension competition organized by Stanford University, so Alibaba team achieved an exact match score of 82.44. It is better than human being, 82.3. So the major reason for a machine to get a better match score than human are that. So the document adopted in this competition are from Wikipedia, which have clear document structures and formal description. There is also sufficient training data. So it is not to say that the machine reading comprehension is better than human on all kinds of documents, but it is still an encouraging result. Speech synthesis is also called TTS, text-to-speech. So we have invented knowledge-aware neural technique for TTS, so-called KAN TTS, with both traditional and end-to-end techniques, which dramatically improve the TTS quality. It can also generate customized voice for users with a short voice recording. For example, some applications may require a voice from a specific person. So the light KAN TTS further reduce acoustic model calculations and model size, without a significant loss in performance. So we have also proposed an algorithm for cross-lingual voice conversion. So it is to convert the voice of one person to another person and in another language. So based on this technique, mislingual TTS with a monolingual speaker's voice can be generated. So in the following slide, I would like to show some applications developed based on the introduced technologies. The first one is voice search for e-commerce, which allows users to input the product names using voice instead of keying. So it's a quick and natural user interaction functions for product search. So we have deployed voice search for Lazada apps. So while Lazada is owned by Alibaba, is one of the largest e-commerce in Southeast Asia. So voice search functions has been available to Lazada users in Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and will be released soon in Vietnam. So Lazada became the first e-commerce platform to offer voice search experience in these countries. So for these applications, the major challenge to us is a mislingual problem. So using English word in a sentence in Southeast Asian languages is quite common. So another application is intelligent quality control solutions for call centers. So it is used speech recognition to transcribe voice recording into text, and then use text analysis techniques to help enterprise to promote service quality, monitor risk, and optimize service strategy. For example, through the analysis of telephone conversation, between customers and customer service, the enterprise can improve the training program for better service standards. The solutions can help enterprise to monitor the degree of certification of customers and identify potential loss of customers or potential complaints from customers. So the solution can also provide enterprise valuable business intelligence report through the analysis of a huge amount of conversational recordings so that the enterprise can optimize service strategy. One example use speech dialogue technology is intelligence customer service for Alibaba Singles Day, so Double 11, so which is an annual online promotion day organized by Alibaba Tmall since 2009. So last year, the total sales on that day is about $38 billion. So to serve the customer better, Alibaba hotline, because on that day is so many call in. So Alipay hotline 95188 has been upgraded with speech dialogue technology. So on Double 11 day, 98% of the telephone customer service and 97% of the online customer service has been completed by this intelligence customer service without human operator. So suppose we work in noisy environment such as a metro station. So in order to provide robust speech interaction, the machine may be equipped with both look and listen functions like human being. So we have developed multimodal mind-machine interactive technology for integrating speech and visual information together. The visual information is from a camera, and the speech information is from a large-scale 8-microphone array, and thus we are able to provide a wake-up-free solution for a natural mind-machine interaction, as well as high ASR accuracy in strong noise environment. So this technology has been deployed in Shanghai Metro Station for voice activated ticket machine. So together with the A-Map, a map service from Alibaba for routing plan, and Alipay, an online payment service from Alibaba, the customers can just go ahead to the machine to speak out the names of the place and get the routing information and the ticket quickly. So the ticket machine has also been deployed in Beijing and Chengdu and on trial in another 8 cities in China. So furthermore, we have also developed an information kiosk, which is a user-friendly AI platform for information query. And it may be as tall as a normal human being. It has integrated technologies of multiple model, wake up, and speech recognition, natural language understanding, dialogue management, speech synthesis, avatar, and user experience design. So when a user is in front of this kiosk, the system wakes up automatically and communicates with the user. To be more interactively, a human-like avatar is also used. Such kind of kiosk can be deployed at a public place, such as shopping center, airports, government office, metro stations, so that the public can get information without a human staff. So another major effort is for audio-visual meeting solutions. To enhance speech quality in meeting rooms, we have applied both conventional signal processing and deep learning method. Take the noise suppression as an example. We have benchmarked with open source algorithm and other popular products in the market. It demonstrates an obvious advantage shown in the finger with PESQ score computation. PESQ is a perceptual evaluation of speech quality. As mentioned in previous slides, we have made audio hardware for meeting scenario. And the meeting transcriptions and the summary has also been developed, especially for the internal meeting platform, DingTalk and Hary. We also develop an integrated solutions of hardware and software, so which can be applied for the scenarios like meetings and the interview. Speech translation is a combination of a speech recognition, which converts speech into text, and the machine translation, which converts text from one language to another. So if high-performance speech translation can be achieved, the language barrier can be broken. It can be used in a meeting scenario for communicative translation, and it can be used for simultaneous translation of speeches. For example, in 2018 Alibaba Computing Conference, when our CEO gave his speech in Chinese, the speech translation convert his speech into Chinese text and translate Chinese to English. Both Chinese and English were shown on the screen in real time. The speech translation can also help foreigners to understand live broadcast. For example, AliExpress, it is a global retail marketplace of Alibaba, just recently launched the world's first real-time live streaming translation from Chinese to English, Russian, and Spanish, and on their e-commerce platform. It is to tackle the biggest obstacles in cross-border e-commerce for SMEs. So Alibaba has also a smart speaker called Tmall Genie. So it is the top-selling smart speaker in China for 3 consecutive years, from 2017 to 2019. So smart, as we can see, the smart speaker is a typical product with speech interactive technologies, from far-field speech processing, speech recognition, all the way to speech synthesis as the conversation and dialogue with human being. So based on the 2019 research report on AI cloud service in China by IDC, the International Data Corporation, Alibaba Speech AI served more than 50 foreign customers with 44% market share. And it is the #1 in public cloud market in China. It serves more than 8,000 courts and more than 15,000 internet courts in China with speech transcription service. So the speech transcription service is for court hearing purpose to make a record automatically. It serves near 1,000 call centers and provide intelligent call center solutions for near 100 ecosystem partners. It also provides solutions for 2 telecom operators in more than 20 provinces. So in the last part of my talk, I would like to introduce a little bit about the R&D center in Singapore. The team in Singapore pay much attention to speech processing and NLP, natural language processing. The major focuses on speech processing are multilingual speech recognition and speech synthesis, cross-lingual voice conversion, speech enhancement, spoken dialogue. The major focuses on NLP are basic NLP technology and the machine translation of Southeast Asia languages, and the sentiment analysis. So we make analysis from the articles. What's the sentiment of the articles, and addressing parsing. So make a standard address is quite important for e-commerce services. To support the multilingual speech and language demand from internal and external customers, the Alibaba Cloud has launched international station in Singapore for intelligent speech products. So far, we have ASR, is a speech recognition service for multiple languages, including English, Mandarin, Indonesia, and Vietnamese, Thai, Cantonese, Japanese, Korea, Russian, and Arabic, and so on. And we also will release another 8 languages in Singapore by end of this year. So the TTS for multiple languages, including Indonesia, Indonesian, are also under development. So we provide a self-learning model platform so that our customer can have an effective way to optimize ASR performance by themselves. So that's quite important because when we deliver the speech recognition capabilities, so normally it's the open domain or general domain performance. But for certain customer, each customer may have a specific task, specific domain. So by this way, the customer can make a better performance on that domain and the task. So we have a quickly and flexible skill to support various business concurrent requirements, and all the data, speech and text data stored in Singapore. So in Singapore, we have worked closely with local university, including NTU, the Nanyang Technological University. So in February 2018, Alibaba set up the Alibaba NTU Joint Research Institute. It is our first overseas research institute. This institute focuses on AI research and has involved a number of researchers from both organizations, including 50 professors, more than 100 research fellows, and students in more than 10 research areas, including speech and natural language processing, city brain, e-commerce, search and recommendation, medical and health, and safety. To cultivate local talent in AI area, we also launched the talent program in Singapore, supported by the Industrial Postgraduate Program of EDB. So EDB is the Economic Development Board of Singapore. We work also together with local university for the talent development collaborations. The program has been well recognized, and the admission was very selective in the first 3 batches. So half year for 1 batch. The Ph.D. student was selected from more than 2,000 applicants. Some of them has outstanding academic abilities. For example, with the LeCun gold medal, and some students are in the Dean's list of NUS and NTU. Now, a number of them has so outstanding research capabilities, has been able to publish papers in top conference. This is a really encouraging result within 1.5 years. So because our first batch is student has to stay for 1.5 years. This is the end of my talk. Thank you very much for your time. I give the time to back.
Thank you, Binma, for your presentation. Very remarkable. And we have some questions here. Yeah. Okay. Would you like to share some use cases in using speech interaction for human-machine interaction along with the success stories?
Okay. So I guess the most important is For example, is a voice search for the Lazada, and as I mentioned, is Shanghai Metro, the ticketing machine use a voice interaction is also a quite successful deployment. So furthermore, we are building the kiosk so that it's really we can really hope it can become a AI platform to share the information automatically without a human staff, so that in the station, in the government department office, so they can serve the public better.
Okay, Binma. Actually, we have a few more questions, but unfortunately our time is limited here. And you are the last presenter for today, the last keynote session for today. Thank you very much, Binma, Principal Engineer, Alibaba Cloud Damo Academy, Singapore. I wish you well, healthy, and have a productive day during this pandemic. Send our regard to your team in Alibaba, Binma.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ya, Teknoprint sudah selesai untuk sesi terakhir ini dan selesai juga untuk Inovasi Indonesia Artificial Intelligence Summit 2020 untuk Day 2, hari kedua ya. Kita masih punya 2 hari lagi, tentu saja besok dan lusa ya, pastinya juga dengan topik-topik yang tidak kalah menariknya seperti hari ini. Jadi pastikan Teknoprint besok kembali bergabung. Saya akan sedikit mengingatkan kembali apa saja sih besok ya. Nah, besok ini akan ada keynote speech dari Riri Adriansyah yang merupakan President Director dari PT Telkom Indonesia, TBK. Kemudian juga akan ada keynote speech dari Insinyur Azwin Sasongko SMSC Ph.D. IPU ya. Ini mengenai implementasi hasil riset kecerdasan artificial. Kemudian akan ada juga webinar session membahas mengenai infrastructure and data preparation for the use of artificial intelligence technology in Indonesia ya. Kemudian juga akan ada keynote speech dari Kit Mansyong yang merupakan Program Director Analytics Platform AP Technical Sales Leader IBM ya. Kemudian juga akan dilanjutkan dengan webinar session di siang hari, di pagi menjelang siang hari di pukul 10.30 begitu ya. Ada Artificial Intelligence Research and Industry Innovation. Kemudian selanjutnya ada lagi ini keynote speech dari Spencer Morley yang merupakan Head of Business Development for AI, ML, AP, ya, public sector dari AWS ya. Dengan temanya adalah Leveraging AI for Sustainable Smart Cities and Digital Government. Dan selanjutnya nanti akan ada keynote speech juga dari Taiwan AI Labs founder Ethan Tu. Ya, dan yang pasti masih ada lagi banyak sekali yang akan kita sampaikan besok. Jadi make sure ya Teknoprint untuk bergabung lagi besok. Dan ini asiknya kalau Anda sudah join ke website kami, anytime 24 jam nanti malam juga Anda masih bisa menonton lagi, menyimak lagi perbincangan kita. Dan jangan lupa juga untuk menyaksikan Virtual Expo kita ya. Ada games juga di sana untuk Anda ikuti, ada platform games selagi Anda menunggu di lobby Virtual Expo. Dan jangan lupa untuk follow Instagram dari stranas.ai karena di sana ada kuis untuk Anda. Ketentuannya semuanya ada di sana. Terima kasih sekali untuk hari ini ya, Anda yang setia mengikuti Inovasi Indonesia Artificial Intelligence Summit 2020. Tetap semangat ya, kita ketemu lagi besok. Salam teknologi, bangun inovasi. Rara Kalisaran pamit. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.